now to another group of Kenyans who are also on their own. Several inmates will now be forced to represent themselves in court because there is a shortage of lawyers willing to take up their cases. Under the new constitution, anyone who cannot afford a lawyer in a criminal case is entitled to one provided by the government. Betty Kyalo reports on the new government approach of training suspects to defend themselves.
It's about 20 minutes past 11 a.m. We arrive at the Langata Women's Prison where in a room tucked inside the security walls, a class is in progress.
Gereza haziitwi gereza siku hizi. Zinaitwa correctional facilities.
The inmates attentive following through the lesson.
Qualified identification.
Asking questions and sometimes having to refer to the Constitution of Kenya to understand even more. This has been going on for the last 5 days, and by Friday they will be ready to graduate. But even more interesting, they will be able to represent themselves in court. After the morning session, I get to talk to some of the inmates who tell me they now understand the court process and can represent themselves if given a second chance.
Na ni ile tu ile sikuwa na confidence, na ningekuwa na confidence penye tumesoma hii masomo ningejiulizia maswali na niachiliwe, sababu zile mambo zote tumesoma zingeniokoa, kwa sababu ni zile zilikuwa pale kotini ile siku nilikuwa na kesi. Kwa hivyo tunaweza omba kama ingewezekana magistrate kulingana na katiba mpya tuko na rights zetu na za kurudishwa tena retrial. Juu hii maneno iko saa hii ikuwa ile wakati tuweze kujitetea hata tukiwa hatuna lawyer, we are lawyers now.
Agnes tells me that on the day she was convicted, she did not have representation as lawyers were beyond financial reach. The same story is shared by Agnes Mwencha, another robbery with violence convict, who says she was naive when she was arrested and did not understand what was expected of her during the case.
Tumeweza kujua haki zetu na tukaweza kuona kule tulidhulumiwa, ni kwa sababu hakika wingi wa jela vile tulivyo si ni kwa sababu ya makosa yale tulifanya, ni kwa sababu ya kukosa kujua.
According to Chapter 4, Article 48 of the Constitution, the state is charged with the responsibility to ensure access to justice for all citizens. This means the state should provide legal aid for suspects to ensure a fair trial. However, in Kenya, there are only 10,000 registered lawyers and only half of them are in practice. These numbers indicate that many inmates across the country do not get representation during their trials.
We are trying to ensure that then, even though they don't have an advocate, still they know what the law requires and then they're able to self-represent.
Well, we've had instances where some of them actually got out on bail, something that they did not know they had the right to before, or they did not know how to go about applying for the bail. And after the training, perhaps midweek, you have somebody who goes to court, applies for bail, gets it.
With the reality of a lack of lawyers willing to take up cases pro bono casting a dark shadow on the future of criminal suspects, classes like this might be a second chance for convicts, especially those who did not get legal aid before conviction. Betty Kyalo, KTN.